Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk The Walking Dead Q&A number 92. Now, if you're new here, you can find the rules, and I promise this time I'm going to put them in a video description. I forgot last video, but please check those out because it's very important to help if you're new here to participate. Now, listen, we're going to jump right to the questions. First up, Awesome Tackler Games. What do you think will be in the finale of Season 7? You know what I think would be really cool, and I'm just off the top of my head doing this because I have no clue. I'm not thinking about the end of Season 7 yet. I do know that as of right now, depending on the pacing, if we are going to end Season 7 knowing that Season 8 will be all-out war, definitely. And again, all-out war is going to blend. It's not a clear-cut line. Like in the comic book, there's issue 1, part 1 of 12 of all-out war. Yes, that's officially all-out war, but there's a little skirmish, a little scuffle that happens immediately before that. It's not in all-out war, but it is actually the true start of all-out war. Comic book fans will know what I mean. So it's difficult because the very beginning of all-out war is actually an issue before all-out war. It's funny, but anyway, or at least that's how I see it. The way they have them using guns, I think they're going to remix this heavily, but all I would want to see for the end of the season is Rick getting the advantage over Negan, aiming a gun at him. Negan's like, what the fuck is going on? And Rick even ending it with, you are fucked. That's all I want for the end of Season 7. F-bomb and all. Just put it on TV. Take that fine. I don't care. I just want Rick telling Negan, you're fucked at the end of Season 7. Anyway, moving on. And I'm sorry that was just simple in general, but I really need to get into how much of the story is going to be new content, how much is going to be drawn from the comic, how it's going to be remixed. It's tough to tell until we actually get some in-depth trailers and showing the other characters, because without showing them, it's very difficult. Nick Sibilia. How long do you think the zombies will be a legitimate factor in the world before the majority rot away and become just humans against humans? Now, I don't think that's ever the case because as new people die, you get new zombies. But besides that fact, this is something we don't need. We don't need any geniuses sitting down determining mathematically how long it would take for the zombies to rot. It's a zombie show. That's one element that is, not real. So with that element, they can play with it. They can bring massive herds all day, whenever they need it. It doesn't matter. I don't think we need to go in there and pinpoint when zombies are totally going to rot away. I mean, at this point, that's how I feel. I just want to leave all that alone, give us zombies in the story, and forget about when they're going to rot away. That's how I feel. Maybe I'm writing it off, but I just feel that way. Mickey Kitty. Do you think Morgan will die in all-out war? You know what? I think the actor is so good they should keep him on till after All Out War if the story permits. Like if All Out War comes up, and I do believe that is a great time to kill off a number of characters. I keep fluctuating different characters that I would like to see take a death in All Out War. I do believe we need more deaths on the TV show than in the comic. I strongly believe that. But Morgan, as of now, lately, I feel like I want him to live past it. Jake Videos 100. Hey Ronnie, if Glenn does not get Lucille'd, how do you see him dying in the future and when? If Glenn doesn't get Lucille'd, I'd like to see him die with the next villain, the next big villain, which would be Alpha after Negan. Yeah, I like that. I want to see him live on past a new beginning. And Glenn, if he lives past Negan, Glenn dying at the hands of Alpha would be just as heartbreaking. I mean, visually, we wouldn't see it happen in front of the group. It wouldn't be the same, but it would be crushing. It would be crushing. Imagine surviving Negan and the war. You have your kid, your wife, you're running a community, everything is perfect, and then you're setting up for something and a new villain just sneaks in out of nowhere, no warning, you just get killed like that. Oh man, I think that would be heartbreaking. This is just off the top of my head though. I might change my mind later, but I think that is just crushing for those two characters. Ross Henry. Even though I don't want to see it, if Daryl takes the Carl and Negan storyline, do you think he will sing My Little Sunshine? No, that doesn't even make sense. It made sense for the kid. If you're a comic fan, go back and reread it. You'll see it. But for Daryl, it just wouldn't fit. Rick motherfucking Grimes. When did you start collecting the Walking Dead figures and how? Ooh, you know what? I didn't even know they made like cool ass toys. I couldn't even tell you the last time I was in a toy store. This was before I ever bought a Walking Dead figure. My daughter was like 2 years old. I was broke as shit. I remember walking into a Toys R Us. Well, not broken shit as shit, but financially I wasn't doing so good. And I remember seeing all this cool shit from back in the day. There was like Predator and Gremlins, and I'm like, oh man, I can't wait till my daughter's old enough to play with some of these cool looking toys. So then I look around, I get an idea for what I could buy for a kid that age. It's my first kid, I'm doing this alone, I have no idea what I'm doing, so Christmas is coming and I want to scope out the toys and see, you know, I want to just see what I'm getting into. And then I see this Walking Dead figure as I'm on my way out. It's the only one on the shelf. Looked odd. It was just black and white. It was a Rick Grimes. It had some blood splatter on it that was in color. I thought it was so weird. I thought maybe it was even a misprint, like they forgot to color the damn thing. This is how stupid and new I was to the figures. For those who don't know, this is a variant. They have a colored version and then a black and white version. So I buy it. It was on sale at like $13 or something. I think originally they're like 18 back then at that Toys R Us. So I bought it, took it home, thought it was pretty cool. I wasn't able to pick up overtime. I was picking up this extra bar shift for the Christmas presents. That fell through. Another thing fell through. Christmas was looking rough. And I was looking at this toy on the shelf and I'm like, this is dumb. This is fucking stupid. This thing will never be worth money. Previously, I told my girlfriend no. I said, man, we'll hang this on a shelf in a few years. It'll be worth money. We could flip it. This would be pretty cool. Da da da. And sometimes I have that hustler's eye. I could spot something that'll be worth money. And I thought this was dumb. I took it back to the store, you know, got my $13, $14 back or whatever it was. Bought her some trinket for Christmas. Christmas came and went. 2 years go by and I see people selling this damn toy for like $300, $400. Man, I was pissed. Ay, ay. Anyway, that got me into it, to be honest. Dion Bombers. What emotion do you think we'll be seeing from Negan after the kill? I don't think we'll see anything. He's going to be comedic. I don't think he's going to be emotional. Popping jokes. He's going to be a little pissed. He's still going to want to tell Rick to know his place. You know what I mean? Enoch Puez Miendez. Sorry, I messed that up. Hey, Ronnie, I was thinking, how would be a good way to kill Daryl? And I thought about the comic with Nicholas's death. It's gold. It's an epic way to kill Daryl. Do it emotional, saving Rick Grimes. You know what? Here's the thing. For Nicholas's death, you know, you put any character in there, you can make it emotional. It would be emotional with Daryl. And for those who don't know, this is a character who sacrifices his life, not knowing it, but, you know, jumps in front of a blade and gets stabbed and dies, but jumps in front of a blade saving Rick Grimes. I think, you know, it would actually be more meaningful if it was Morgan, to tell you the truth. But the reason I don't like it for Morgan is because it's a little too much like how his mentor died. So then it would be that borderline where it's paralleling the death of his mentor. It's just too close. I'm not going to go into details here, but it's just too close, I think, to the way Morgan's mentor died. But you can spin it. You can remix that in a very powerful way for either Daryl or Morgan, and I think it would absolutely work for either one of them, definitely, you know? All Rethian. Do you think they will extend All Out War to its full potential, or will they cram it into a 2-part episode like No Way Out? You know what? Here's the thing. With No Way Out, they're going to argue with you that it wasn't 2 episodes because No Way Out officially starts when the walkers are making their way to the community. So even though they're not dealing with the wall falling down and walkers getting into the community yet, that's still part of No Way Out. And I do believe we need a very extended all-out war, because this is all-out war. Imagine having all-out war for 2 episodes or 4 episodes. No, no. I think that's just trash, you know? You want to do all-out war, at least make it the bare minimum. Give them half a season, because you need other shit going into that. It's not just the fighting. There's dialogue there, there's preparations, there's plans, there's, you know, scouts running around. You have this intricate network of communities. I mean, to just throw it all away in 2 or 3 or 4 episodes, it seems like such a waste. Jonathan Credendo, do you think Morgan will get Comic Nicholas's death? Alright, we talked about this one. I did not know how popular Nicholas's death is for the comic fans. You know what? I like the death in the comic, but I didn't think it was anywhere near as powerful as it could be on show. So I'll tell you right now, yes, I do believe they can remix that death in the comic and make it 10 million times more powerful and more emotional than it was ever in the comic. They can definitely make that one amazing scene, because it continues. It's more than just the death. So yes, Morgan might fit a little bit better than DARYL in that aspect because of the conversation between Rick and Nicholas later on, as far as that might tie in better to All Life is Precious more than it would DARYL. So if I had to pick one right now and I was forced to, I'd pick Morgan over DARYL for that death. Absolutely. Cynthia Konopka. Man, I suck at these names. Do you fear that Negan's brutality won't be as prominent on the show as it is in the comics, like they did with the governor? Yes, I do worry about that a little bit. Absolutely. This is my design. Is there a character that you are... This is my design. That's familiar. When do I know that from? Whatever. This is my design. Oh my god, it's bugging me now. I know what that's from. I feel like it's from like a horror movie. Is there a character that you are sick and tired of seeing and you just want to die? No, there's characters that, as of right now, there's no connection there, like Rosita. I mean, and this has nothing to do with the actress. It's just the story. The story never really hit for me in the comic either. It never really did anything. Gabriel in the comic, it wasn't until recently where I was like, okay, he's stepping it up. And even a little bit during No Way Out, I'm like, okay, Gabriel. But there's no character at the moment where I'm like, alright, you know what? You need to die. I mean, some of them just don't connect with me, but I try my best not to hate on them for that, because not every character's story is going to connect with you on that level. It's impossible. Matt Gallant. Fucking names. Matt Gallant. Should they make Season 7, Episode 1 to be Negan-centric, and then bring up the momentum is what you're saying? Yeah, they could do that. I mean, should they? No. Stick with the horror of what's about to happen. Stick with our survivors after that tragedy. No, I'm saying hell no for Episode 1 to be Negan-centric. Dave Howard. How do you see Michonne's comic story arc being translated to the TV show? All right, we're gonna talk about this. If you haven't read the comic, it's not a spoiler. In the comic, it was a little bit forced. You can argue that. I'm fine with it because of the amount of story that we were getting. I was fine with it because I wanted a little bit of mystery. I wanted to open the world up a little bit. And in the comic book, she went off to look for her family. She's not going to do that in the show, and in the comic it was most likely only done or influenced heavily so they can make a comic book video game out of it. And they did. It fit well, fans loved it, and I think it was a success overall. But for the fans who believe it was forced because Michonne never looked for her family before, and then all of a sudden, once it was convenient, they just shipped her out of there, made a video game, brought her back. We don't need any of that for the TV show. Like, we don't need any of it. We can have a character that helps out in that aspect, you know what I mean? Fishing and trading and shit like that. Sure, that's fine, but we don't need any character disappearing, you know, going on a boat and doing any of that. We don't need it at all. Royal Sushimi. Do you think any of the female survivors we know could become one of Negan's wives besides Olivia? I don't know why you put Olivia there, but listen, here's the thing. With Negan's wives, no, because our survivors are survivors. I mean, they wouldn't come all this way just to say, you know what, Negan, will you please protect me? I don't want to fight for, you know, or go on runs for my food supply and shit like that. Like, our females right now, in our survivors group, unless I'm missing any really weak ones, but they will do what they gotta do to survive. They're not just gonna, you know, accept Negan's protection, so to speak, because that's all it is. It's basically they are being his girlfriend and he's just pampering them. Essentially, that's all it is. They stay in a high rise, they don't cheat, they don't ever have to fight for food, struggle, trade, barter. They don't have to deal with any of that as long as they don't cheat on him, and they're, fine with him having multiple girlfriends. Rise Thunder. What small character do you think should have a bigger role? Well, he's not a small character, but I want Jesus to have a lot. Right now, I am leaning towards really liking the casting choice, even though it is extremely different. I was looking for a Jesus who was, a rugged, big, like a mountain man type of Jesus. That's what I was picturing. They cast a very different Jesus, and I see a lot of potential there. So I do want, and since I love Jesus in the comic book, I think he's badass. Go back and reread when they first go to the hilltop. Man, Jesus puts people in their place. And I do want to see more of that, because we didn't get that from TV Jesus yet. He didn't have that same, put you in your place, shut you up. He can kick your ass, without even breaking a sweat. Even though he's very capable, it's just a very different vibe we get from this Jesus. So I'd like to see more from him. Now, if he's too big of a character for your question, I want to see more from Gabriel, and I believe that's because the actor just has a lot of range, a lot of talent, and I want to see that utilized. I don't want Seth Gilliam being underutilized for Father Gabriel's role, you know what I mean? Give us more, definitely. Alright guys, I gotta go pick up my daughter from school. Leave your thoughts and opinions about everything we discussed down in that comment box. If I didn't ask your question, ask it again down in that comment box. I'll pick some questions. We'll do another Q&A tomorrow. Unless you're sick of seeing my face, then I'll give you another break. Subscribe now.